Hey, what's up everybody? Bdf 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so hey, well, everything is going well on my end. I woke up this morning feeling pretty energetic. Yesterday I decided to stay in. Two reasons. One, the heat was a little beaming. It was actually cooler outside than it was in the house. When I went to throw the trash out, I came to realize that. But by the time it was time for me to go, I realized I had not made a video for my Oklahoma City, Minnesota Timberwolves prediction, the basketball team. So I made that video. It ran about an hour long, and then I realized the other series starts today at 5. I'm like, I ain't gonna want to do another one of these tomorrow, especially since I got therapy. I may not be able to get it out in time. So I made another video after that. So by the time those videos were done, it was almost 3 o'clock. So it was like, where am I going? Like, where am I going in the heat at 3 o'clock? So I decided to do my Hunters Blue workout, listening to the videos. And then the game started at 5:30. So like by the time I was doing my Hunters workout, the game was about an hour away. So I just kind of did what I do, normal stuff, and then watched the game. And that was my day. So I wasn't really feeling like staying in the house yesterday, but it was kind of like, well, let me just meet the requirements of my my channel. And I could have did those videos out, but I think it's more thorough when I have the Wi-Fi for the other phone, so I can look at stats and stuff like that. So that's what I did. I stayed in the building and just focused on what I need to do, and got some real good exercise in, and woke up in a very strong prayer mode yesterday morning. Very strong prayer mode. I don't know what that was necessarily about, but I felt a lot of energy trying to draw me into prayer yesterday morning. So I did that and enjoyed that, and the Lord kind of carried me throughout the day, man, and made it so that I didn't have to worry too much about anything at all. I felt really good throughout the course of yesterday, despite being in the house. And so today, I'm going to meet up with Lydia, potentially for the last therapy session with her. We're going to try to get me another therapist, as we've talked about on this channel. So that's the plan. Today is to kind of go over what my plan looks like, health plan, and see what will be available to me, and then see if we can get me set up with somebody, unless she changes what her intentions are. That's what we had planned to do. So I'm headed down there. I'm supposed to be there at 1. It's like 11:30. I'm kind of running a little late, to be honest with you, but you know how that goes, man. I'm not sure it ever actually equates to me being late if I leave at this hour. Not if I'm walking the pace that I'm walking right now. It's gonna be hot today, but it doesn't feel as hot as I'd expected it to be. I guess that heat is going to kick in probably around 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. That's how it usually goes. And the heat really starts settling in. But it's probably about 87 degrees right now. Nothing uncomfortable, to be honest. Nice breeze, too. So just kind of hoping it stays this way, as we're going through a mini heat wave. Nothing like we had 2 weeks ago, but a mini heat wave right now, yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Then it goes back down to 79. And hopefully it stays that way at least for another 11 days while I finish out my contract, because as you guys know, there's no air conditioning in that room. So yeah, but I've been making the best of it. I haven't really been all that uncomfortable, to be honest with you. Still working out in it. The fan is blowing, and throughout the night I just allow the fan to blow cool air into the room with the window open. And so that's been peaceful these last 2 mornings, kind of feeling that cool air around 6:30 in the morning coming in. It didn't feel bad at all. So just making the most of it, man. But yeah, yesterday morning, well, was that yesterday morning? I don't remember when this idea came to me, but as I was meditating, the Lord put me in prayer, and what was coming to mind was, the word was sinful fears, and how the Lord is not interested in prayers about sinful fears. Now, we talked about just a few days ago, which is going to make this sound contradictory, about any prayer is a good prayer. Any prayer, the Lord, you can pray to God about anything, and He wants you to. So as it pertains to this not being something He's pleased with, the communication to you in prayer is what His intentions are, which is ultimately what you're hoping to receive. And this is what came from that prayer. So it's not that He didn't want me to come to Him in prayer about this. It's that this is what came to me when I did. And there's a understanding there between myself and God, I believe, as it pertains to, I'm always happy to hear you pray, But now that we have a relationship, there's certain things that I'm gonna help you understand that I don't appreciate. And one of them is sinful prayers, or sinful fears. Coming to me about sinful fears specifically is what came to me yesterday in regards to the concept of there's certain things that you only gonna fear because you're in sin, or the practice of sin, or the actions of sin are going to create certain fears in your life. Or the presence of a lack of faith is going to have you concerned about certain things that the Lord does not arise as a problem when you come to him. If, for example, you praying about somebody you like in your life, some person in your significant other in your life, and because of your insecurities, you start praying prayers that protect against things that aren't actually going on in their life. You're projecting onto their life the cynicism that you have in yours. Maybe you knew somebody who was on drugs or something like that. So you come to God and you say, Lord, I know they're going to be on drugs. Try your best, send them through rehab. Like God's essentially telling you, if you listen to me, I ain't tell you to have any type of problem about no drugs. That's not necessarily a sinful fear, but it's a faith lacking fear that you, if you're me in this case, or maybe others, come to God asking for help or asking for solutions for problems that aren't real. Or sinful fears, projecting forward the idea that a person may be doing something that you do in your regular life that you shouldn't be doing in sin. So it's to say that you come to God and say, God, protect this person from having deep issues with their flesh. It's like they don't have deep issues with their flesh. You have issues with your flesh. Stop projecting that onto them. Because when you ask the Lord to provide you some clarity, the clarity is they don't have that problem. You see what I'm saying? When you ask the Lord to help them through that problem, he's saying, I never told you they had that problem. And in my case, it's circumstances in regards to people I prayed for, the Lord was like, yo, I told you what a problem was in that person's life, and we talked about these type of things. So why are you bringing me stuff that you're projecting, that you're concerned about, because you have cynicism in your life? That cynicism is lacking faith, and if you're lacking faith, then what are you doing here? Is essentially what came to me. Like if you don't trust me, then why are you asking me to help you with things that you ultimately receive confirmation is not even a problem? You're bringing a lack of faith to faith. You're speaking as if things that are not are, but you're not applying it to the faith itself. You're applying it to your cynicism and how comfortable you are with negative realities or negative concepts. So it's like, that's what came to mind. The words that he used was sinful fears. And do not be bothering me with sinful fears. Do not be bothering me with things that you only believe because you're either in the practice of sin or the practice of not having faith. Don't project issues onto other people that you want me to confirm are there to make you feel good about being negative about them. When the Lord, if you come to him and he asks you about certain things, and if he gives you any confirmation, that confirmation comes to you saying, no, this is not a problem. Stop coming back around saying, yo, how we fix this problem that he had already told you is not one. That's you projecting your issues onto that person. That's you projecting what you think is wrong with the world onto their life, as if they are a reflection of the world itself. If they were, then in a relationship that I'm starting to develop with God, he would let me know. And if it were fruitful for me to be thinking thoughts like that, then he would put them in my heart in such a way that would allow for me to receive some grace with that truth. You don't get to talk about these type of things because that's not what we talk about in regards to these people. Because these are not things that I told you they have a problem with. And if they were a problem, because of how I have you set up in their life, I'm not coming to you with that. So when you ask me if things are fine in the area of concern, and I tell you they're fine, don't come back around asking for help in regards to these people about areas of concern that are not concerned, or asking for help in your own life in regards to circumstances that are attached to things that shouldn't be done any dang way in regards to sin. doing things that you ain't got no business doing. Now you so fearful of being found out for doing things you had no business doing. Are you so fearful of the things that fall apart because you want to continue doing things you have no business doing? You need to be asking the Lord to help you keep from doing things you had no business doing. Not necessarily coming to him asking him to cover up your sin. You see what I'm saying? So that's kind of along the same lines of one another in regards to this conversation. Sinful fears is how the words came to mind. Don't think for 1 second the Lord is about to accept conversation about sinful fears. All he gonna do is tell you, go somewhere else with that. Go somewhere else with that. Don't come to faith about things that you need not have little faith in regards to. If God has already told you it's going to be fine, and you don't need to ask him to help you with what it is that he told you is going to be fine. And so that's for people who already have a very strong relationship with God, a specific relationship where he actually confirms and denies things. I don't know that it applies to everybody. I'm not sure that everybody has that type of relationship. But if you trust in the Spirit of God in you, the Holy Spirit in you, then that relationship will help guide you into these type of confirmations and things like that. I believe I've seen that in my own life now. And then with that privilege comes certain standards and certain boundaries that are starting to be revealed to me. I think the practice of developing that strength comes from an obedience to following that voice and trusting that it is leading you in the right direction and continuing to come back to it consistently. So that's what came to mind yesterday. I thought that was a pretty poignant energy that the Lord brought to me. Like, don't be coming to me with sinful fears. Don't be coming to me with doubt. Things that you want to work around. Things that are, how do you express it? Like, let's say you believe a storm is coming, so you're asking the Lord to bring you sandbags for your house, but he tell you ain't no storm coming. Don't come to me begging for sandbags when I told you ain't no storm coming. You see, that kind of thing. So that's what came to mind yesterday. And it came pretty strong yesterday, along with several other things that the Lord was having me pray about and just think about. And so I bring that to you guys. What else is going on, man? I don't know if it's a whole lot. I mean, I've been paying attention to the Diddy story and all of that stuff that's going on with him. And I think as I was listening to a psychologist on somebody's random show that academics was kind of showing his audience, I agreed with the statement made by the psychologist that essentially said, in order for this particular case to be viewed properly by the common public, there's going to need to be some education provided the common public about the type of psychological behaviors that are considered normal when dealing with trauma, because the average person doesn't really understand how someone could feel on one day as if they are happy with somebody who may be abusing them, and then on another day not pleased with that person and feeling trapped by that person. And how can those energies equate to any type of logic when perceiving them? But when you talk about psychological damage, trauma, you talk about Stockholm syndromes and different things that relate to that type of thing. There are a lot of behaviors that are understood to be normal amongst the psychological community and the psychologist community and what have you, that average human beings are not going to be able to see as making any sense at all. And so with the education will come a better way to view this. But what's out there is not going to provide that for us as it pertains to the evidence that's being shown. And so, for example, Cassie appeared to be very much a part of putting together different things that Diddy is being accused of doing. It was her that was making phone calls. It was her that was doing a lot of what it is that ultimately made these freak-offs happen. And if you listen to academics content yesterday, he was going over text messages. I don't know, he didn't tell us how he received those text messages, but allegedly there were text messages that came directly from Cassie between the years of and Diddy, between them two, between the years of like 2011, I guess, and like 2020. And a lot of them conversations was Cassie sounding like she was more interested in engaging in some of those sexual things than Diddy was. Diddy was kind of just blowing her off in a lot of them conversations. He's shown some interest a lot of the time throughout the course of these years, but like more than not, it was her trying to make him happy and her trying to make things happen that she wanted to either want for herself or things that she wanted for him so he would be happy. And that it provided a great deal of confusion for a lot of people as it pertains to how to view Cassie in this situation. As to say, was she really a victim, or was she not the driving force for the freak-offs? Because if you look at them texts, she the one trying to set things up with him. He's telling her to make decisions. She's picking out the people that they often use in these freak-offs. So it's like, I think educating people about trauma and the behaviors of trauma will really help us view Cassie in a way that ultimately I'd imagine would be responsible for those who understand psychological behaviors affected from trauma, which would give us the most educated way of assessing what it is that we're seeing in her behavior throughout the course of those text messages and maybe some of the stuff that's being testified about. So it's confusing if you want to believe that she's a victim for a lot of people. For me, as someone who has suffered from trauma, I understand how irrational behavior can come about and how confusing it can be for the victim, so to speak, at times. I also understand that could be molded to absolve people from accountability to their actions. There's a slippery slope, and to find out which is which is ultimately what is going to be tried to be proven in that courtroom in regards to their situation. People can always pretend like they got mental health issues to absolve themselves from a lot of different things. And one can find that a person may have mental health issues in the presence of them pretending like they do. The essence of lying and trying to pretend as if you do have a mental health issue may reveal that there actually is some issue there. So it's a lot of different things. Like, the question of after an alleged R word took place, she came back and had consensual relations with Sean Combs. A lot of people are not going to understand how that could even be something that we would look at and say she's a victim in regards to, or even believe her to say that it was ever not consensual. I think the conversation and the discourse around levels of R word and the differences between R word and how hard the government should come down on certain individuals for certain instances may be arriving from this case, because there's a strong difference between certain aspects of what is considered R word. And far be it from me to try to detail what I think about that. I'm not knowledgeable enough, but I do think that could be something that comes about from such a high profile case, forcing people into being educated about the difference between certain aspects of what is considered R word or SA, so to speak, assault of a sexual nature. So it gets really tricky trying to assess this stuff properly. As somebody who calls himself open-minded to psychological behaviors and the different nuances and fluidity of certain behaviors, even I find myself looking at this saying, I'm having a hard time with this as it pertains to just Cassie's part of the case. But there are other people to interview, and that's not the only thing he's being racketeering is what the case is about, and so they got to try to prove that. But I don't know, man, I'm a little confused about some of this. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I don't get it. I don't really find myself looking at Cassie and saying, I'm certain that what's being alleged about Diddy is proven to be exactly what it is they're charging him for. If anything, this kind of reminds me of the Whitney Houston, Bobby Brown circumstance, to where everybody got on Bobby's case for being the guy that was bringing Whitney the drugs, but when they really start digging into the details of their business, it was revealed that Whitney was actually the one who was bringing the drugs to the situation was more so going after the drugs. She just had the more pristine image in the public. And he might not have been the one bringing her to drugs. She might have been the one getting him hooked on drugs. And so these are the type of things that this case in my mind kind of brings about questions in regards to, like, you know, how am I to view her going forward in regards to her choices, and not only what she was accused of being a part of, which is freak offs, but also just her intentions in being in this person's life, and just how trapped she may have actually been, versus her being prioritizing just the overall environment of being with somebody as powerful, famous, and as glamorous, so to speak, as Diddy. And the specifics of why she would want to stay with him is something that I find myself ignorant in regards to. When I think about the details of what has been expressed in regards to these freak-offs, it allowed for Cassie to have multiple partners. So the element of only being monogamous to one person wasn't required in that arrangement. She made, as it pertains to specifics in sexuality. And I know that that's not the only way people cheat, and I know that's not the only way people can go against their spouse or whatever. But as it pertains to just strictly sexual desires, within that confines of that relationship, she was able to experience multiple partners. My curiosity is, just from my own little ignorance, is how much would she have wanted to be with Diddy if it were not that dynamic? How locked into a monogamous relationship with Diddy would she have been if the only person she could have experienced those things with was him in the relationship in regards to keeping him happy? It's almost like having your cake and eat it too, to my limited understanding. You know, and I know that it's been expressed to me many times that women don't always need sex in a relationship. Everybody's different, of course, but the understanding is men are more so interested in getting their rocks off. Women are more so interested in intimacy in a lot of cases, or being provided a lifestyle, or the security of it all. Men just want to have sex at the end of a long day, like that kind of thing. And so that's case by case when you really break it down. It's not everybody, of course, but just in general, it seems to me like, yo, there were a lot of things about being in that relationship that for a girl like Cassie, who was 22 years old, who wanted to be famous, who wanted to be with a famous and powerful man, she was able to have her cake and eat it too. It seemed to me, and I was listening to academics, maybe he influenced my opinion, but it seemed to me that she was more so concerned about not being replaced, that somebody else would have the ability to have all them perks that came with being with Diddy. Because Diddy had a certain fetish for watching his woman with other men. So that allows for her to get her rocks off on any man she saw fit, basically, as it pertains to, she could literally go into Craigslist, pick out the people she liked. He would hire them and bring them to her so that she could do that with. It's like, yo, how many women are in relationships like that, where the resources, and mind you, we're talking about a 22-year-old. We're not talking about a grown woman who has a life together, like Cassie is right now. We're talking about a 22-year-old girl who gets to have all the perks of being with a billionaire superstar, and gets to do this and have her wildest dreams enacted while he's pleased with the choice to do so. Any type of model she want, anybody she want to be with, male model or whatever, she could just pick them out. Pick them out in the Craigslist. We'll hire them and bring them to our situation. Diddy was pleased with that. It's like, I just felt like she loved the arrangement a lot. Like, you know what I mean? And if she was stuck to this man, and he was the only person, you know, and she had to just only be with him, or if he didn't have the money and the private jets and all that, all of these different things come together to make it just a very perfect have your cake and eat it too type of experience for a young 22-year-old girl. I just wonder how much of this really plays into the conversations versus Stockholm syndrome of her feeling trapped by this person. How trapped were you? That's what I find myself asking. It don't sound like you was trapped. It sound like you had the best situation for most 22-year-old girls who may have had a sex fetish for a bunch of dudes, if I'm being completely honest with you, while simultaneously wanting a lifestyle that was absolutely, utterly blissful. Flying from one place to the next at a whim because this man's money was endless. Which brings me to where we are right now. How the hell did we get here? To where you want to see this man in prison? And anybody that saw the footage or the videotape of her getting herself put hands on, there's no excusing his violence. And if your answer to the question is the violence itself, then by all means, that is acceptable to me. But based on the specifics of their relationship and what I'm starting to understand about their arrangement and how they operated with one another, it takes away, based on my limited understanding and my ignorant mind, it takes away from the intensity of what it is I thought I was seeing there. Because the type of abuse that she welcomed in these freak-offs and the physicality that they engaged in, from what has been alleged and how they operated, that was just an extension of how they did things, to be honest with you. And so context within relationships is so important. This is another example of that. Why you don't really understand a person's arrangement. You don't know why people allow certain things or people want certain things. You talk about sexual fetishes and the nuances and the fluidity of these type of things. For a lot of people, there's no one single way to kind of view certain things. Some people like being a part of situations that are very bizarre to the average mind. And as we study this case, we come to see yet another example of that. As we pay attention to what's the unfoldings of this case, we start to see. And so this is the first time where I really thought, like, yo, I think there's some evolution that needs to be had in regards to these SA cases. And I think this case is going to open some eyes as to the levels of SA. Because I'm telling you, though I'm not qualified by any stretch of the imagination to tell people what trauma is versus what is not, I think there's a big difference between someone being R-worded by some random stranger in some dark alley when they're trying to walk to their car versus whatever Diddy has been accused of that's been defined as R-word. And if we're going to give these two people, both offenders, the same amount of time, I think we're minimizing the sheer trauma of the former expressed example. It doesn't mean that I wanted to rearrange the definition. R word is R word. But this guy should not get the same amount of time as that guy, in my humble opinion. Not after paying attention to the nuances of this case. Nah, that ain't the same thing, man. It's not the same thing. It's equally egregious and they should be both punished. But maybe not the same way. Maybe not the same way. And if that makes me insensitive saying that, I'm open to being illuminated or enlightened is the word, to a greater point of view. It's not always what happens to you, it's how you react to it. But I can't view Diddy, based on the information that's been released, as the same as some random crazy man running up on some absolute stranger and forcing himself on her. It's not this. It cannot, in my mind, be considered the exact same thing. It cannot. Not if we're trying to be responsible as a society. It cannot. And so that's a controversial take. I'm imagine that's not something everybody be willing to express, but I'm willing to bet there are a lot of people who are going to feel that way after this case. A lot of people. And so that's just my point of view. And I wish the best for all victims, man, of any type of abuse. And again, I do not think we should change the definition of said behaviors. People need to understand the boundaries are boundaries. No means no, and I don't care if she said yes a million times. If that one time she said no and you force yourself, we're going to call you an R-wordist. But the question is, do you get 50 years for that? Based on that? Just like the dude that did whatever he did in a super traumatic and violent way? or we're going to put you in a different category entirely based on the sheer differences in the actions and the fallout thereafter. And so that's what I would like to see evolve. That's what I'd like to see evolve. At any rate, Cassie, in my opinion, could very well be somebody who felt trapped just the same. This could be some wild Stockholm syndrome. I'm going to say whatever I need to say to keep him, because now I've been abused so much to submission that at this point I don't even know what's up or what's down. Like I said, a psychologist is going to have to help us understand that. Somebody who's an expert in the field is going to have to help us view that properly. And I'm open-minded to just about anything when it comes to the brain, because I suffer from some weird stuff myself, so I get it. But I may not understand it just the same, and don't want it to influence all cases in my mind as it pertains to trying to figure out if everybody is suffering and therefore everybody should be absolved. That accountability, placement, responsibility is something that I take very seriously, just the same, in whatever forms of accountability, whether it's somebody doing something they have no business doing, or somebody else trying to make it look like somebody else is doing something they have no business doing. And with that accountability factor, we need to get that right. And so that's really what I want to say, man. Prayers out to everybody in that situation. So yeah, good news for Brother Brown. Brother Brown has been given bail, $6 million bail in UK. So he can go on and finish his tour. He's still gonna have to face these charges, and these charges are still rather serious. Hopefully he gets it right this time and don't try to flee the country, because he is facing a lot of time for this as is. So he would be wise to try to handle this. They've given you a bone, brother, and it's based on, in my opinion, your fame and probably somebody pulling some strings behind you, making promises behind you. They're probably not nothing easy. That's what I think is going on there. Brother Brown, he's seen some favor from the Lord on this one. He'll at least be able to do his concert and build his money up a little bit more, fake this case, I guess. Or maybe he struck a deal with UK and now he can be absolved from this entirely. I think all eyes are on the UK, and I do think there's some pressure for a Western country like the UK to not literally put Chris Brown away, an American away, for something that America would likely only give him 2 years for. I think there may be some pressure just in and of itself based on the influence of America and maybe in the UK, and how they are aware, and the world is connected in ways it never has been before, that maybe we are a lot more lenient, and maybe they'd like to see more leniency out there in regards to these type of cases. Somebody hit somebody over the head with a bottle, they shouldn't go to jail for like life, literally. And so the influence of the West, of America specifically, may indeed influence how they judge Chris Brown in this situation. And I think it works in his favor if that's what's going on there. I'm sure there's some people who don't want to see this continue. That type of harshness, I don't think they want to see that continue. Let's be completely honest with you. So yeah, it seemed egregious to us. And I do believe that there are a great deal of perks that you can basically use Chris Brown's influence rather to kind of do some great things in the community. So I'm pretty sure they're going to utilize his fame and having him by the balls to try to get him to do some things, some charity work or something, fundraisers, and political stuff. He's gonna have to do a lot probably to get around this. And so that's just the nature of the game, man. He's gonna have to play it. But yeah, so he got off. That's good for him, or at least got bail to do his concerts. Since we had talked about that. And another person on my prayer list got in some trouble, man, believe it or not. And I tell y'all, this is just the season for the people on that prayer list to really be taking on some trials in their lives or getting held accountable for the bullcrap they've been doing. I think it's safe to say that Rod Wave is in a lot of trouble right now, man. I put Rod Wave on the prayer list about 3 years ago when he first started coming out with music people liked. I actually am not a big fan of his music, to be honest with you. I don't really think he's that great. That's me, though. I'm not a fan of Rod Wave's music, but that never influenced me to not pray or pray for somebody. I put it in my mind to pray for him. I think after listening to a song he had made where he was asking people to pray for him, I put him on a list. Well, now he's facing 13 felonies from what I understand. I don't know what the incident was, but I did read the write-up of his felonies, man. 13 of them having to do with firearms and some type of coercing people, or I don't know what the hell he did. Not sure, man. But yeah, he's on the prayer list, and now he's facing some real time with the feds. So the beat goes on, man. I told you, a lot of people on my prayer list right now are facing some stuff, bro. And I don't know, maybe it's me, maybe it's my prayers is bringing about these trials in their life. But I just think, when you pray for people and you're asking the Lord to do a million different things on their behalf, in a covenant-like type situation where it's a million people stuck together, prayed on your list, what I'm starting to realize God does is, for those who are engaging in stuff they have no business engaging in, he starts bringing down the hammer on them. That's what I'm seeing. For those who need to grow up, who need to grow spiritually, some of them need to learn some hard lessons. I always harken back to my experiences when I was doing things I had no business doing. The Lord came down on me harshly, and then looking to where I am right now and realizing how thankful I am that he did that. Everybody, when they engage in this stuff they ain't got no business doing, who have bigger purpose or greater influence in the world or whatever it is, they really do have a lot that they may have to go through to kind of bring them around to being people that the big guy really is pleased with. And that's what I think may be going on there, man. This might be time for this person to kind of come out of some of his childish ways, some of his ignorant ways, or whatever he's doing. It might be time for him to express himself in a way that teaches people how not to fall into some of these traps. In order for him to be able to see the fruit in doing that, it may be important that he go through some things, sit down or whatever. But 13 felonies with the feds, you know how they get down. You may not get out of 13 felonies. So that is that's heavy, man. That's heavy. So the prayers will keep coming for Rod. I know that God will sort this out for him, but it just is one more case of the era that we're in, which is a lot of people that I'm praying for, they're having a hammer brought down on them, man. It's really the truth. It's really happening all at once, kind of. So that's just what I'm seeing. That's another case of that. So yeah, man. As far as myself, I think things have been really smooth. I've been keeping up with my practices of exercise. Like I said, I'm starting to ramp up my activity in regards to the different things that I love to do, NBA draft stuff. I'm starting to do a little homework. Actually, I haven't done homework since I actually told y'all that. It's been 3 days, and I ain't really even looked at no draft stuff because I've been so focused on the Diddy stuff and then the NBA playoffs themselves. So I'm not going to lie and say I've done any homework since the last time I talked about it, but I'm very much interested in starting that process or continuing that process, rather, and I will be. We got, like I said last time, we have almost a month before the draft, so I will know all of these players back in front by the time that comes around. But for now, I'm still in a space where it's like I'm getting ready, and I just got other stuff on my mind. And so that's really what it is, man. It's just other mindset that we just continue to work, man. That's what it is for me. Exercise, prayer, making these content, and art. I've been working on my art here and there. It's been improving. I'm seeing better quality pieces slowly but surely. I'm starting to really feel good about what I'm doing. It comes and goes as it pertains to the confidence I have in my art pieces. Some of them are really good, others you have duds and stuff, but if you just keep at it, you're going to see overall improvement and a floor raising, so to speak, on what you're doing. And so that's what I've seen, is my floor raised significantly over the last couple of years. And right now I'm in a good space. I've been coming up with some pretty good pieces. And playlists and stuff, when once a week, try to get a playlist out. Just consistency is what it is for me right now. As you can see, I'm going to this therapy session with Lydia. If I have a new therapist, try to be there for every one of those sessions without any delay. Consistency is what it's really all about for me, man. I don't doubt that God has a plan in all of this, but I'm trying my very best not to be too excited about really anything, to be honest with you. Just consistency. I had a dream last night that couple things happened that was poignant in that dream. One is I saw a friend's mom, my mother's friend named Betty, who's B's mom. You've heard me talk about B. That's her mother. She came in my dream last night. She was carrying some trash bags, looking like she was throwing the trash out. But the poignant thing about the dream was that she had these extra strong legs. Like her legs looked like she had been jogging and squatting and all different types of stuff for like years. And I don't know Betty to be a workout monster like that. But that was the essence of the dream, was telling me that she is strong enough to throw out the trash. She had rather big trash bags, one on her neck, and she was holding the other on her arm that she was carrying on her side. And the insignificance of the leg was to say she's strong enough to carry this. She's throwing the trash out, and she ain't having no problem doing it. And so I immediately, after I woke up from that dream, took a shower and all that stuff, I hit B up and let her know that I had the dream. We kind of take dreams seriously in that friendship. We talk the spirituality and stuff like that. We've been talking about for years. And so anytime I have a dream like that, or anytime she has a dream about me or something like that, we tell each other quickly. So that's one of the situations where I know that I can't wait to hear what she has to say about the dream, or to see if it's relevant in any way in their lives. But and then another aspect of that dream was me having to I don't remember the context. I honestly don't remember. But me having to live without something. I think I had like a box of Nikes or something like that. I was carrying. I gotten out of an Uber, I think, or something like that. And where I was going to be walking was quite a distance from where I was dropped off. So I couldn't carry all of my stuff with me. So I had left the Nike box with the shoes in it, along with maybe another couple of things, and carried my stuff to where I was headed. Came back to pick it up, and when I picked it up, the Nike shoes were gone. The box was there, but the shoes were gone. And I felt panicked and all this, but then I woke up saying, Lord, I don't know if I have to let go of some things or if this is alluding to anything at all, but I don't want to be so attached to anything. When I left where I used to live in Lenox, I had to leave probably 90% of my belongings there. And I think a lot of you will probably remember that, maybe even see the footage of me leaving that day. Having not sold too much, but had to leave bed, leave entertainment system, leaving dishes, some towels, a lot of stuff I just left there to be gone forever out of my life. And that's how I want to handle anything that I have now or anything that I'm receiving. I really don't want to be attached to nothing. I want to be attached to the Holy Spirit and to have the strength of mind to let things go and to welcome new things just the same. And the Lord is always telling me in this era of my life, there's nothing that you've lost that you can't get back tenfold. There's nothing that you've lost you can't get back tenfold. And so as I continue to hear that in my head ever so often as I pray, I have a dream like that, and I just say, Lord, I believe you. I legitimately believe that. I've now lived through many things that I've had to lose. I've lost many things in my life. People, that whole situation with the AMC and how it hasn't manifested into anything. A lot of them shares I was afraid to let go of, but was forced to based on how the government set it up, to where we can only invest $100, so I had to sell a lot of shares. And that was something that I was sacrificing a great deal. I was going without buying certain things that I really needed so that I could develop my share count. Got it up to a space where I was really happy with, only to lose it all for the most part, and how passionate I was about it. The way I look at it is, if I could lose that, I was going 2 years without buying things like underwear. The only thing I would be willing to buy was weed, and that's because I was addicted. The only reason I was even willing to buy anything with that share money is because in trying to hold those shares, ended up basically having a nervous breakdown with my last job. So I didn't work. I let my car go trying to hold them shares. I didn't pay rent. Got myself evicted trying to hold them shares, only to lose the shares. So at this point, it's like, if I survived that, there were times in that journey where I thought I would die if I didn't have my shares. I would tell myself, man, if I'm not able to hold my shares, and if I'm forced back out there with nothing, I'm not going to make it. I don't even want to make it. Like that type of defeatist attitude was something I was really living with. And for the Lord to have brought me through that, as he has, to where a couple years later, I'm not even addicted to the shares, so to speak. I'm not addicted to weed. I haven't smoked like that at all in this era. It's a lot of things that I thought I couldn't live without that I don't even have right now. And as you can clearly see, I'm walking down the street just fine. So as to say, there's nothing that I want that I don't want the strength to be able to let go of. You know, there's nothing that I have that I don't want to be able to drop in 3 seconds flat if it's necessary. Nothing. And so that's what the strength request is about for me in that prayer. Like, make me strong enough to not be attached to none of this crap. I like everything I have and I appreciate it. And I don't want to live without certain things. It's really inconvenient living without certain things. And if you lose everything at once, it can become extremely stressful. And I respect that. But as it pertains to me wanting to be attached to anything, I don't want to be attached to nothing. I don't want to be attached to anything. Because you can't take it with you anyway. If you die, it all stays here. So why do I want to be attached to anything? All the stress that it causes people to lose things. I remember when my car was repossessed and how much anxiety came from that. And some of the reverberating mental issues that came from that moment of what I perceived as trauma. I don't want to be attached to nothing ever again, man. Attached to my own comfort, not wanting to leave the house because I was so comfortable living inside, not wanting to let go of weed, smoking and all. I was attached to so many things in this life, people that weren't meant to be, relationships that I thought I couldn't live without despite not really being pleased with the arrangement or the treatment or what have you. Not really setting myself up to be best for that relationship, but still being attached to it just because I didn't want to let it go. I don't want to be attached to nothing. So that's what I woke up saying. I respect that dream reminded me of the feeling of what it feels like when something is stolen or when something that you want to keep is gone. And I respect that feeling. Ain't gonna necessarily go away just because I'm praying this prayer, but I don't want to be attached to nothing I got right now. I believe you when you say I can replace anything I have or can live without it just the same. And so that's how I feel, man. I don't want to be attached to nothing. I'm cool. I'm very much at peace with the idea that, hey, things can go, man. Things can go, people can go, comfort zones can go, environments can change. The conditioning of things that you used to being able to do, it can all be rearranged. Freedom can be snatched from you. Lives can be snatched from me. I don't want to be attached to nothing, man. None of it. If I have it, I'm happy with it. If I gotta lose it, I'm cool. Let's move on. Like, that's exactly how I want to be about every single thing that it is to have or lose in this life. And so that's what I'm telling you, man. That's a certain type of strength. That's a certain type of wealth that I don't think too many people even know to ask for. They want everything, but they don't want to be able to live without everything being lost. Not me. I want to be able to live without every damn thing if necessary. Survive without any damn thing if necessary. And so that's where I think I'll leave y'all, man. I'm where I need to be. Hopefully I'll be on time. Bdf 44, I thank y'all for watching.